Welcome back to Total Money Management. Going over the week that was July 7 to July 11. How we doing, gentlemen?
Good, mate.
Excellent.
The end of the week.
Everything's up, mate. Everything's up. Property's going gangbusters. American market all-time high. Australian
Attitude.
market all-time high. Biddy? What's Biddy?
What about Bitcoin?
What's Biddy? 118?
Yeah, 117 US last time I
We've
looked.
been in here 10 minutes. It's probably 124 by now.
It's been a beautiful day for the Bitcoin holders. Thank you.
You've
Yes.
definitely got some sneaky Bitcoin now.
No.
It's
Unless
probably
you-
got a few.
You blokes been buying it on the side.
Yeah, we'll buy it with the business account.
Buying it with the business card. I'll probably start getting rando emails or something. Anyway, yeah, it's all good. I mean, it really is seriously nutty.
Yes.
Everything's just absolutely, and you know, you think Liberation Day was only mid-April or something, and Trump, you know, we had that week where the volatility just went through the roof.
Yep.
The markets fell. You know, today this morning Trump said, I'm going to put a 50% tariff on Brazil, right? Lunchtime, it's like, I'm putting a 35% tariff on Canada. It's like, man, you know.
Didn't I read
markets
somewhere?
are like, who cares?
Yeah, you don't even blink now.
No, 50% tariff on copper, who cares?
Did you see copper went nuts this week?
Yeah, yeah.
I read somewhere that Trump
So
had
did
kicked.
rare earths.
Yeah, I read somewhere that Trump had kicked the tariffs down to August, but I could be wrong. It's
Yeah,
been a
no,
hectic week.
what he said was, we'll give we'll give you more time to negotiate. I mean, to be honest, you can't do a trade negotiation in, 3 weeks. I mean, there's a little bit to get through.
They're on, they're off. You get a tariff now.
Yeah,
you don't
yeah,
get a tariff.
yeah.
Like,
I was just thinking, if you were a bureaucrat working in the Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade, mate, I'm not kidding, you'd be working 20 hours a day. Because, like the intensity at which they're trying to negotiate all these agreements is just enormous.
There'd be
But
like
part of the
plan A,
problem
B,
is
C.
they haven't got in America, they haven't got the necessary people, like the right people in the job. If you remember back to Trump's first term, he left all these positions vacant, right? And he didn't fill them. And when you don't fill them, everything starts to back up, right? Because it's like, hey, we need a signature. It's like, we haven't got anybody who can sign it. Okay, well, how do we get someone to sign it? Well, can we get someone else to sign it? Well, we got to send it to the minister. Okay, well, how long's that take? Well, it's been in there for 5 weeks. Like, it's really crazy. It's really crazy.
But I mean, is this just part of his tactic to just keep kicking the tariffs
No,
down?
mate, he's not that smart. No.
Oh, let's do
No.
August. Oh, what's your December now instead?
What's
And then he'll go, we'll revisit the tariffs
Well-
in August, then December, then February.
Well, yes and no. See, he said 35%, come hell or high water against Canada in August the 1st.
Right.
Is that recording?
yeah.
Yeah. And so,
You're right, mate.
just checking.
First time he's ever checked as well.
Yeah.
So,
94 episodes in.
yeah. Are we on? Just thing working? Check 1, 2. Yeah, so it's just, I was just thinking coming over here, it must be just bloody chaotic in all the embassies and stuff, right? Because they're just trying to figure out what the hell's going on. The Japanese are now saying, we need to move away from the USA. Europe's gone nuts with military spending, right? Now that they know that Trump's, ganging them up against NATO. Like, the Chinese don't know what's going on. The bloody Japanese don't know what's going on. We don't know what's going on.
It doesn't sound like anyone knows
Well,
what's
he just comes out with these statements. The Vietnamese, I think it was the Vietnamese or Thailand. I think it was Vietnam. Vietnam went, we've got an agreement. And then Trump comes out and goes, no, it's going to be 25% or something. So the Vietnamese are going.
Someone spent weeks putting that together.
WTF, yeah, what the hell? I mean, you're talking about a 78-year-old bloody half senile guy who's, prone to just going blah out his mouth and people going, oh, God, what's that mean? But, obviously the markets have just gone, yeah, whatever, we'll just keep buying.
Yeah. Well, they're not. The markets aren't shocked by war, tariffs.
No.
Just about anything.
No. That's what I said last week.
Inflation.
You could nuke Moscow and go, oh, that's bullish.
Yeah. Yeah.
No more gas.
Ain't no more gas. Oh, that's bullish. Buy oil.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh well, there's a bit of deflation happening in China, which is I wouldn't have thought with the whole basically infrastructure going down in China over the last few years and new build. What's the business Evergreen?
Yeah.
Just going through the floor in the last couple of years. That we've
Evergrande.
seen Evergrande. That's it.
Evergreen was the one that blocked up the Suez Canal.
That's the one. Yeah, but I didn't think that it would result in deflation. I thought it would be inflation.
Is it oversupply?
Yeah, the problem is, and we had this with Japan, the overcapacity in China is enormous. Like, I mean, seriously, enormous. Now, the problem is when your number one customer, the US, says, we're not going to take your stuff anymore, that's when you go, man, we got a lot of production here. So the problem the Chinese have got is they will have deflation, and I think we talked about it last week, in communist countries, the worst thing is social unrest, right? Because that foments revolution. If the people start getting together in big numbers, the governments, or the regimes are in trouble. And so the biggest problem for China is social unrest. And the best way you stop social unrest is by giving people jobs, right? And they're working.
Security.
Yeah, well, money, right? And it's hard, but we can see a vision where my kids will be richer than I will, which has been going really well for China. Now that's sort of coming, well, I won't say it's coming to an end, but what I'm saying is Trump and Europe are now complaining about the Chinese, right? The Germans had a crack at China during the week about a Chinese military shining some lights in a German ship or something. Like, what I'm saying is there's just more and more events where you're going, if you follow it like I do, you're just looking at it going, oops, that's another red flag. Oops, that's another red flag. And what you're seeing is you're getting other countries are now attacking each other, right? So Trump has set off this sort of, what do you call it, domino effect, where everyone was against America at the start. But now what's happening is the Europeans are complaining about the Chinese, right, flooding the European market with EVs. And the French said, right, we've got to stop that, right? The Brazilians are complaining about the Chinese, right? So, all of these countries are starting to infight, right? And that's where you get real problems, right? Because everybody's now fighting with each other. There's military problems. There's the interconnectedness of the global economy is now breaking down, and we're just like we sort of talked about in the last coaching call, right? Now everyone's going, oh, rare earths, oh gee, we didn't know. China relied. We all relied on China. I mean, we did, but we didn't do anything.
It's interesting. I remember you saying a few months ago, there's always a pin-up boy or a poster boy in these kind of situations. The international one being, or the national one in America being Musk. But I feel like the international pin-up boy is China.
Well,
everyone's just pointing and going, oh, you...
Yeah, that's true. Elon's had a bit of a rust week. But so has China, to be quite honest. Yeah, that's true. When everything's going well, you tend to overlook stuff. Fraud, mate, don't worry about it. Everything's going well. Everyone's, you see that in Australia's property market, right? You've got, there's fraud and all sorts of shenanigans going on, but everybody's like, don't worry about it, right? You see it in stock bubbles, right? There's, all sorts of crazy garbage going on. And the authorities are just like, because, nobody complains when you're getting rich.
Yeah.
Right? Nobody complains. The people who complained about the mortgage fraud were the people who lost money. Not, you don't make a ton of money and then go, and man, I'm going to complain about that, mortgage broker or, the bank lent me too much money and then I went on to make $500,000. You only complain when you go, the bank lent me too much and I lost $500,000.
No, I can't afford the repayments.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Interesting.
So we're bank confirms reducing mortgage payments for Australians.
yeah, well, the big decision, probably we move on to page 2, in the economy, the big surprise was, well, first of all, 99.9% of Australia's economists left Tuesday with egg on their face because they all said rate cuts were a certainty, and the RBA didn't cut rates. And their argument was, well, the RBA is looking at it going, down the track there might be tariffs, that will be inflationary, and so we need to get inflation under control. In the old days, and this is for another time, but the argument is if you raise interest rates, you crush demand. If you crush demand, you'll get lower price rises and that will cure inflation. Right? Of course, you get generally higher unemployment, right, from less demand. But that's what the RBA is basically focused on, right? And so that was...
They're trying to look, 12 months down the track or 6 months down the track?
Yeah, well, they're just looking at Trump going, this dude's going to be inflationary. But there's other things. I think the RBA, look, I could be wrong, but I think they're probably looking at house prices because, 2 or 3 months ago, everyone is saying, oh, the rate cuts are coming and house prices are going to boom.
Yeah.
Get in now. Like there's all those bloody spruikers out there saying, oh, rates are going to fall, so get into a property now. I mean, the RBA would be looking at that going, oh, God. Do these people talk about anything else other than goddamn house prices?
That's the Australian economy.
Yeah. Well, and that's the problem, right? That then becomes a real problem for the RBA because if they do cut rates, which they should do because the Australian economy is not doing very well, the problem is they keep the housing sort of bubble. They keep expanding it, and then it's going to blow up at some stage. And who are people going to blame?
But we're still
You should have lent me the money.
We're still under the average interest rate, isn't it 4?
Yeah, we're still under the average long-term average interest rates.
Yeah,
but
no one looks at it like that though. They go, oh,
they're still low.
Yeah,
but you got to remember, Jacob, they went to 0.
Yeah,
right, or 0.1. Right, so that was why the problem we had with COVID was when mortgage rates went to 2%, and Phil Lowe said, oh, they'll be low for a long time. What'd they all do? They all went in and borrowed a property, right? Because at 5%, the bank said, oh, Tom, I'll give you, 500,000. At 2%, the bank said, Tom, I'll give you 800,000. So what does Tom do? Snags a loan and races out and buys something. And that's why if you have a look at COVID, I think Perth, last time I looked, Perth had gone up like 100% in 5 years. Well, that's just fucking madness. The median price, I think, on the Gold Coast is now 1.9 million. Yeah. It's just crazy.
Yeah.
It's just crazy.
Well, I mean, a 4% interest rate or 3.85% interest rate on a $1.5 million loan, those repayments are just ridiculous in itself anyway.
Well, man, you can imagine what it's like you should go and look at it when it's 7 and 8. It's huge amounts. But, when they were 7 and 8, houses were 400.
Yeah, they
not
were only
bloody 1.6.
They were like 4 times income or 5 times income.
Yeah. And that's the complaint of young people saying the boomers, like we say, oh, well, I had 17% interest rates. And it's like, yeah, but houses were like 250,000, right? Like it was still hard, but it's like nothing compared to.
Yeah, well, you got to borrow now.
Yeah.
For the same situation.
Well, there's that second item there. Banks say borrowers aren't reducing their home loan repayments as rates fall. And that's what we said a couple of months ago.
Yeah.
Right? People are going, hey, we've adapted to the new lifestyle. We're missing the Dorito corn chips. Who cares? We'll just keep paying down that loan, even if rates fall. And that's what people generally do. That's why you generally, if you borrow at 7 and rates fall to 2, generally you'll pay off your loan quicker because you don't adjust your mortgage
You just keep.
Yeah, you just say, listen, let's just keep paying $700 a week,
Yep.
right? Unless, of course, you're in trouble. But there's not enough people in trouble at the moment to say, all right, let's cut it back.
I feel like if there's one more bump, like a significant bump in interest rates, that could cripple a lot of people, though. We're like teetering on the edge.
If they went up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think look, I could be wrong. I still think there's a lot of people struggling. I mean, the economy's growing at 1.2%. I mean, that's inflation is at about 2.5 to 3. But even if you say it's at 2.5, that's twice the rate of growth. So in other words, you're going backwards.
I mean, everything has got more expensive. It's just that simple. Like
Fuel, Doritos. What else? Do you eat? Chocolate. Coffee.
So, I don't know. There'd be a lot of people that'd be feeling it. There's also a lot of people that earn a lot of money. You know?
Yeah, but
on the other side.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you've got to be careful, Tom, because, we all get used to earning a certain income, but that can change really quickly with unemployment and stuff like that. And you get caught out all of a sudden. So you've got to remember, Australia's been in some ways really lucky because we haven't had the last real recession was 1991, right? Well, that's 30 years ago, right? So that's why I say anyone under 55 doesn't really know what a real, true recession where unemployment, every time they look at unemployment, it's rising, right? We haven't had that for ages. But what we've got is a whole raft of poor people who are, delivering meals to the rich people, right? And they're on, they're...
So that's almost segregation.
Yeah.
Dare I say it?
The middle class is falling. Middle income earners are being squeezed. Some of them are making it up, but some of them are falling to lower levels of standard of living. Right? But when you look at it, you look at the average and it says, oh, yeah, the average is fine. But the problem is you're making an extra $10 and I'm losing $4, right? That's how, that's what we don't see a lot of. We keep looking at the average and it's a bad statistic. That's why I keep saying the unemployment rate is no longer really that valid because there's a lot of people struggling, right? But they're struggling as an Uber driver or, Diddy driver or, driving meals or doing stuff that's really, really, like they're all subcontractors, right?
Yeah.
It's a fake statistic. And then when you look at the rate that private businesses are borrowing, what are you laughing at, Tommy? A Diddy driver?
Yeah.
Have we set him off?
How would he
set him
still
off.
have a job?
If you're driving Diddy around.
Yeah.
Well, if you look at the rate that private businesses are borrowing, that's dropping as well, which means they're not investing in their businesses.
Yeah, but why would you invest, Jacob, if there's hardly any demand? This is why I keep complaining. They're talking about productivity. Well, why would a business be productive if you don't put any pressure on them to be productive? How do you put pressure on them? You raise wages, right? And you say, but we've also worked out. The studies also show that manufacturing raised productivity, right, through processes, all sorts of stuff. If you've got 4 people, I probably know 1, 2, 3. There's probably 8. There's probably 10 staff at my local coffee shop, right? Now it runs from 6:30 in the morning till 3:30 in the afternoon, okay? But there's the from what I can see, the 6 till 9 shift, right? The 9 till 12 shift and the 12:30 to 3.
Are you there with a pen and paper?
I'm there. No.
He's just there 3 times a day.
No, but I see the staff come and go at like 9 o'clock. It's like, okay, they open up at 6, right? And because this is the way we work now. Everybody's got a 3-hour shift, right? They've got, 6 shifts a week. Well, that's 18 hours. Well, that's why they're all living with their parents, because there's just they're not paid enough. Right? There's, when you think about it, from 6:30 till 3:30 is what, 9 hours. Okay. So generally you could say, well, you just get one person to work all day, maybe 2 in the busy hours. Well, they got 10. right? So there's 10 people doing the job that really 2 people full-time could do.
Yeah, why?
Well,
That's
then
not-
Because
I wouldn't
Tom,
say that's normal.
No, because Tom, that's when we got rid of the unions and we deregulated the labour market, and we said, okay, it's acceptable to bargain one-on-one. It's acceptable to part-time. There's like 35% of the workforce is part-time, right? Underemployed. If you put the underemployed in the employment figures, unemployment's really running at about 10. So what you've got to say is, okay, there's 10% of Australians who are really goddamn poor. And that's what it shows, right? We've got 13% living in poverty or something. So that's why the economy is not going that well, right? Because there's a lot of people out there who are struggling and finding it really hard to get ahead. They're just living paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah. You can see why. So what are we looking at with this global core inflation rates?
Well, just showing you there, Australia's inflation rate is falling.
Yeah, it looks like everyone's is on this chart.
Yeah, and it is.
What's the trimmed mean CPI?
Consumer price index, right? Which is just a basket of goods.
it's probably just the trimmed is probably with just because from 2003.
Yeah, righto.
Yeah.
Snapshot.
Well, it shot up at COVID, and now it's falling back down to its long term again. And part of that is the argument the RBA is saying, well, the economists are saying, well, if inflation's falling, interest rates shouldn't be that high. And the RBA is saying, yeah, we know inflation's falling, but we think it will come back again. That's basically it in a nutshell.
Yep.
With deglobalisation.
But the economists are all going, oh, well, you've got to cut rates to give bloody mortgage holders a break. And that's why I'm saying, well, okay, that's great because the mortgage holders are not spending the money. They're just paying off the loan. So it's no better for the economy.
Yep.
Right? And if they're doing that, like Jacob said, why am I going to expand my business? No one's coming here going, I want 3 cups of coffee because I'm earning more wages. Well, that's clearly not happening. Right? So we're in a really, really bad spot, and we have been for a while.
We're teetering. Well, let's spend a bit of time on the lesson of the week because we've got strong correlation between valuation and returns.
Yes.
And this is something that we run through in the Cape valuations and returns in well 2, I think.
Yeah, market cycles.
Yeah.
Mean reversion, sorry.
In mean reversion,
Yeah.
And I think it's a really good snapshot just to give the listeners a bit of an idea of like what we look at when we look at valuation.
Yeah. It's just, but one thing with valuation is it sounds really, really obvious, right? About the correlation, I'll use the word connection, the connection between valuation and returns, right? It's really, and that chart that you see there, Cape valuation and returns, shows you the correlation, right? When things are really, really expensive, the returns are really low, right? When things are really, really cheap, the returns are really high. It's really that goddamn simple.
Well, the trick is knowing when it's expensive or cheap.
Well, that's why we use Cape, right?
Yeah.
Because the average is 17. You look at history and go, oh, when it's 10, you make absolutely bucket loads of money. And when it's 35 or 30, actually you don't make money. And we're currently at what,
38.23 or something.
Right, okay.
This morning.
So 38 is saying, listen, you're probably going to lose money, right? But here we are with the market at all-time highs, right? And it's really hard.
And Bitcoin at 118 gras.
118?
118,000 it's running as we record.
Let's go for a bottle of whiskey after this.
Stop it. Stop it. It's painful.
That's talk about valuation.
My day.
Let's talk about Bitcoin.
The ultimate
valuation. You know what Bitcoin... Don't start. You know what Bitcoin's valued at?
180,000
There's 3
Australian
letters.
dollars.
The first one's F's, the second one's F, and the last one's A. Right? I'll be right one day. I'll be dragging me off into my grave.
Effing a lot.
So much.
Yeah, that's one interpretation.
180,000 Australian each.
Godfather.
And we think the house prices are ridiculous.
Well, but that's what I mean. Everything's expensive.
Trump starting fights with everyone, doesn't have a full team.
They're going to have a crypto treasury.
there's
They're going to have talk about complete bullshit.
What a time.
You guys, when Bitcoin was like $4.60 or whatever that crap was, all you guys went on about, it's a libertarian, we're anti-government. Now you want the government to buy it. I mean, jeez, come on.
The price up.
Just trying to decouple.
Stop.
Inside.
Stop. And then what was it? Oh, it's digital gold. It's like, oh, right. Okay. Wear Bitcoin around your neck. God.
We've set him off.
Unbelievable. Yeah. Stop it. I'm back. Now, let me get back to my point, right? Valuation really informs you about future returns. The problem is it's really hard to watch the market like now, right? At 38, the market's at all-time highs and retail investors in the US are now piling in, right?
Low liquidity.
What's it going to say? Next week I'll put in this document, margin lending has gone through the roof. Right?
Yeah, that's what happens in market extremes.
Everybody's in leveraged ETFs.
Okay, so we need to start
rotating
out.
We've already
out
started.
of Bitcoin into stocks. Leveraged ETFs.
Well, I mean, look, to use this example in action, look at emerging markets, look at Europe, look at energy.
Yeah, well, if you look on the next page, that's your cue, Dan. What we're showing there is, I should wear my glasses, but anyway, it's always tempting to chase the recent winners. Okay, history shows you are better off buying cheap. Okay, so we talked about CAPE and ad infinitum as probably nauseating people out there, and also the well to stuff, right? So what I did was I'm just putting in there the returns year to date, right, of all the countries, emerging and developed. Okay, so when you look at the top three in the emerging markets, it was Spain. Help me out here, Maya.
Spain, Austria, Italy, Ireland.
Right. Okay. So Spain, Austria, and Italy. All right. So the CAPE in Spain last year, at the start of the year, was at 15.5, under the average. Right. Now, Spain last year made 10%. Okay, it's not knocking it out of the ballpark, but it's good, right? Austria, the CAPE at the start of the year was 11, righto? Well under the average. Okay, Italy was 17, which is on the average. Yep. Okay, now emerging markets, right? Greece this year is up 56%. The CAPE was 9, right? The Czech Republic, the CAPE was 7. And it's up 13. Poland, the Cape Republic was the Cape was 5.7, and Colombia was 10. Mm-hmm. So what I'm saying is, if you buy the cheap Cape countries, you will do well. Okay, and that's why I'm talking about valuation and returns.
Would you consider, so if the overall emerging market ETF, for example, is cheap and the emerging market individual countries are cheap,
yes,
then there's more of a chance rather than emerging market ETF being really high.
And Brazil's really cheap or something. Yes and no. And I'll put a slide up next week so we can talk about it. But what you find is that the expensive Cape countries lose more, right? So, for example, at the moment, let me use Brazil, right, or Turkey. Right, Cape ratio's at like 9 or 10 or something, right? So they're really cheap. Now, you would generally go, woohoo, I'm going to, pile in, okay? Emerging markets, a lot of them are really cheap, okay? Okay, that's good. So we've got 2 ticks, but the US is at 38. Now, if the US falls, Brazil will most likely fall.
A lot.
Well, no, not necessarily.
Right.
That's the thing, because it's already cheap. Right, so it's already cheap, it's already hated. Everybody's in the US. Who wants to go to Brazil? They're all mad socialists. Trump's going to tariff them. Get your money out of Brazil. Lo and behold, you'll probably find that you'll do really well. Right? Now, it's not guaranteed, but what I'm saying is I'd rather be buying something really cheap than buying something really, really expensive. Yeah. We keeping you awake, Tom?
Yeah. No. Sorry, it's been one of the...
How many times you heard that argument, Tommy? Cheap countries. Oh, God, here goes Steve again.
No, every time I always go back to Novel Investor.
I better check my emails.
Next time I'll get a little spray gun for you.
Yeah, we'll have to squirt him.
No one's safe in this room, are they?
Anyway. No. So just saying, valuation is really goddamn obvious. Please look at valuations, right? And stop the emotive stuff of like, oh, NVIDIA's worth $4 trillion. I'm going NVIDIA.
Yeah.
Right? Or dare I say it, boys?
Bitcoin.
There you go. Righto. We got anything? Social media.
Yeah.
Have we gone viral for anything?
We're just ticking along nicely.
Oh. So we haven't gone viral.
We've got some hates. We've got some haters.
Some questions or some hate speech?
We've got lots. We've got lots of hate speech. How's about this
have
one?
we?
Yeah. Well, not lots. A couple. Maybe try and learn to pronounce words correctly before you give lectures.
I'm just going to tell you. What's his name?
Steve.
Is it Steve? Hormuz, Steve. Hormuz. I don't care, Steve. It's that strait over there near Iran.
Very funny. There's a couple guys.
I'll just make a clip of that one. Or is it Otis or what is it?
Opus, yeah.
Opus, right.
Guys, uncanny what you guys talk about. Love coal, very cyclical. She historically swings up at this time of year. Yep. So this guy's in...
Signed Steve's mum.
Klaus. Klaus would love a shout out, actually, because he comments on a lot of our stuff.
Who does?
Good on you, Klaus.
He does. And so does Cameron?
Cameron Vass as well. He's getting a shout out. Yep. He wants to know what are some ETFs which provide some exposure to emerging markets.
Cameron, go and Google them. Right, go Spain ETF, and it's EW. I think it's EWZ, by the way. But anyway, yes, just go and seriously, all you do is go. Oh, I wonder what the Turkey one is. You just go Turkey ETF, and then you have a look, and that comes up.
Thanks for mansplaining how to Google
works.
No, I'm just trying to be bloody helpful.
Hey, mate.
Gee.
We're trying to be nice to them, not condescending.
Well, I'm not condescending. I'm just trying to bloody well help him. Cameron asked. I said it. Well, come on. Is there anything else good on there? Steve's looking very healthy. Or
Steve looks like good. That? Something about Israel.
Has Steve been working out?
Just Israel things. What's going to happen next with the US-Israel war? What does that mean for gas and oil?
Well, OPEC, and we'll talk about this next week. But OPEC had their 2-day love-in this week, and said that there's going to be huge demand for oil and gas and coal. Good stuff. That's what I reckon.
Perfect.
Is there a way to track the total money management portfolio?
Yes. Give me a call.
That means you got to buy a program, Jimmy.
Sorry, Jimmy. You got to pay up for that stuff, brother.
But that's really it.
But other than that, Jimmy, 40, 50, 60% returns. Bitcoin, what are we up? 100% this year? 99 or something, fellas?
More than that.
That's this week.
I just wanted to say, actually, thank you everyone that left a review after last week's. Tom and I having a bit of a banter about it. 5 reviews came through. It actually really helps us get it.
Especially the 5-star ones, not the 4-star ones.
Yeah, stop giving us 4 stars. What's wrong
What?
with
Someone
you?
gave us 4 stars? What?
They must have.
Do we know who they are?
No, we don't. But I wish I did.
And I wouldn't tell you. We're not calling them out. They might change it to 1.
We're gonna have to track it.
Yeah, no, in all seriousness, it genuinely helps us get a bit more exposure.
I'll tell my family to boost it up.
All right, that'd be good.
Now, just look, I know, Tom, you want to hit that button.
30,
you want to go.
we're 3
right,
minutes
he's gagging for a red wine. I just want to make this point. The thing, and this is completely left field, but anyway, I'm going to make it.
I just feel like it's
these days, because a little bit US-Israel, you know how Israel killed the Iranian leaders, when they're sleeping in their bed and all that sort of stuff. Do you know now they can tell, right? They can tell you by your heartbeat and by your walk. They call it the gait, the way you walk. Because your walk is distinct, and so they can look at a satellite. From a satellite, they can look down and go, "We want to kill Tom," and that's why they kill them at like 3 o'clock in the morning. Why? Well, we can find Tom. There he is. He's in his bed and he's asleep. Bingo, and they send a missile in. But you know, like
What's that have to do with the gate?
what's that?
The
they
walking
can.
gate.
You can be walking along, right, and they can.
They
can
just start tracking you.
yeah,
No,
from
that's him.
you know,
Yeah.
from
Yeah, right.
up there, and they can just go righto, just send a missile in and blow Tommy up.
Please
So no, well, I'll take you off the hit list. But
What's that for the price of salt,
But the
mate?
technology,
Oh.
the technology is unbelievable.
Yeah.
That's why Donald Trump came out and said a few weeks ago something about the Iranian leaders was basically like, listen, we know where you are. i.e., dude, we got you tapped. Right? Peter Zihan, who is a geopolitical strategist, he mentioned it a while ago about Putin, right? That the Americans basically knew everything Putin was doing, right? And because the listening devices, the satellite stuff, all of that stuff is so good now that basically no one is safe.
It's way more advanced than any of us.
Yeah.
know.
Oh, and
Scary.
one last point. Who was it? I think it was Germany. Germany. Oh yes, Germany
Can't wait
said
to- I can't
against
wait to outtake
Germany
that.
said Chinese cars. They don't want Chinese cars. You know why? The data.
So they're
The
ousting
Chinese
China.
are tapping all the data.
Yeah. Well, again, it's still.
Thank you for the outtakes.
Thank you.
That's all right, mate. Yeah, I was, you know.
We'll let you go watch the footy, mate.
Look, I got to say, there was so much happening this week. I just thought, I've got to talk about that. I've got to talk about that. I've probably covered 3 of like 150 things I wanted to talk about.
Yeah, maybe we'll do more podcasts.
Yeah.
Thanks, everyone.
Cheers.
Cheers, folks.
As always, remember, we don't provide financial advice.